Hi, everybody. Welcome to our latest edition of BrewZoom. We are actually in the town. Well, actually, my guests are in the town. I am virtually in the town of Wilmington, Illinois, on good old Route 66. Let me introduce you to the team from Route 66 Old School Brewing, and I'll have you guys introduce yourselves.
My name is Steve Nelson. Me and my wife Tina are the owners.
And I'm Dustin, head brewer.
Great to have you guys on board. We're going to talk a little bit about the history of the brewery and kind of some of the Wilmington area and your entrepreneurial experts or your entrepreneurial adventures as well. And actually, maybe Steve will start off talking about the brewery, and you also own a couple other businesses in the area.
Yeah, my grandfather, Wayne Nelson, was born and raised in Dwight, but he moved to Wilmington late 30s. In early 40s, they started, him and my grandmother started a feed business. He did all kinds of things. You know, it was back in that time period during the war, everything you could possibly come up with to do to make a living, you needed to do. Kind of like now, you know.
I was thinking that same thing.
And he did a little bit of everything at that time. They were just starting to get into like gas furnaces and things like that. So he was selling furnaces. He ran LP gas out to the folks in the country that couldn't get, you know, gas that was run to their homes at the time. He raised and had eggs and hatched chickens and sold chickens and did about whatever they could do. They had a two-story house in town, and they had 2 extra bedrooms, so they rented them out to people who were coming in to work for the war effort out at the Army ammunition plant. And from there, he had a paint store. He sold Maytag washers and dryers, carpeting, and then he opened up Nelson's Furniture in downtown. He also had a Royal Blue grocery store. So they did a little bit of everything. And then my father came in and started in at the furniture store, and he retired about 10, 15 years ago. And so me and Tina have taken it over, and then we started Nelly's, which is a small burger joint that's in our buildings. And then we had an open space down towards the end of it, and that's when we came up with the idea for the brewery.
And breweries have been a part of the Wilmington area going way back when. Can you tell us a little bit about the history of the brewing?
Yeah. There was a family, the last name was Markert, and not too far from here, actually. We have people who aren't familiar with Wilmington. We're right on the Kankakee River. So when Wilmington was founded, you know, they built everything on the river. It was an easy place to water. They built grain. They did about everything. So just outside of town is where they built the brewery, and I've got pictures of it, and it was a 3-story building. It was a big brewery, and they supplied everybody in the area with fresh lager beer, as their advertisements say. We've got some articles from the newspaper from the 1870s when they started it, and it went till somewhere in the early 1900s where it burnt down, and they didn't rebuild it. But we did some research on them and found all kinds of really cool little things about the family, and the house that they lived in is actually still there. There's still a few remnants of where the brewery was at. We've got photographs. We even called our local high school, and the art teacher came in and took a few of the students last year before school ended, and they came in and they painted a mural in our brewery area of the old Market Brewery and the house in the background. And you know, they were moving everything by horse and wagon at that time, and they had some lager barrels that are like me and Dustin were standing here. These lager barrels are bigger than us. They're just gigantic, and you wonder how they rolled them, how they did it at that time. We have a hard time yanking half barrels around, and these guys had lager barrels, you know, the size of a Volkswagen that they were moving around.
Oh, I couldn't imagine.
No, I don't know how they were doing it.
So how did the Route 66 part's a little obvious because you guys are literally on Route 66, but how did Old School Brewing, that part of the name come about?
You know, me and Tina just start kicking names around for a while. We've been thinking about the brewery for a while, and as we travel, we go places, and we'd always go to breweries. So it was kind of natural that we started getting more and more interested in it. And as we would see names, we'd write pieces of information down that we liked this name, or we liked how they laid the brewery out, or we've seen signs. I was always taking pictures of insides of breweries from Portland to California to everywhere. We had just mounds of information we kept. And the closer we got to saying, you know what, let's see about working on a logo and a name. The old school portion of it kind of just kicked in, where I always kind of felt that, you know, being taught from my grandfather, you know, who was born in the 20s, and then my father, and I kind of had that old school mentality that, you know, you work hard, you do right by your customers, and just the whole attitude, I think, has carried over through, you know, the last 3 generations of it. And my kids are always yelling at me saying, geez, that's old school, you know. So let's just go with old school. I kind of like it.
And I think this is a great segue to introduce Dustin, head brewer over at Route 66 Old School Brewing. Tell us a little bit about yourself and kind of how you came to be the head brewer over in Wilmington.
I lucked out because the old head brewer decided to make a move to more brewing, and I was in between jobs. So Dave, who's now at More Brewing, he was formerly working at Workforce, and at the time I was doing a lot of home brewing, and came in one day and he said, hey, there's an opportunity for you. And I took it.
Perfect. Yeah, tell me a
little.
little.
Lucky because we didn't know who we were going to hire, and we were so happy with David. And David said, "I got the perfect guy. He's a friend of mine. He's really good, and he'll fit in good with you guys." And so we love Dustin just as much as we love David, and we still keep in touch with David. He sends me emails all the time. We make sure he's doing good.
I think the next name of your beer should be Perfect Timing. So tell us a little bit of kind of, you know, if you could describe your style of brewing, or kind of, you know, what's some of your favorite, you know, ingredients and go-tos that kind of, you know, influence your brewing.
Well, one of my biggest influencers on my brewing was with my former boss, Mark Hendrick of Alter Brewing. And one of the probably most prominent things I've learned from him was stop putting so much crystal malt into IPAs. And that's a mistake I made a lot homebrewing.
All of a sudden with my homebrewing, I'm like, oh, that's a good. I'm just as guilty on my stove.
Yeah. So with that being said, I feel like every time I drink an IPA, that's the first thing I'm looking to taste. But,
So,
as far as style goes, I would say just really traditional beers, clean crystal beers. I don't know if you can see how clean that is, but
like I wish I had one over here right now.
Looks like you can just walk over and pour one.
Yeah, I'm not hiding behind them, I swear. What are both of you? What are some of the beers that are on the menu that you kind of, you know, are almost like your go-tos, or you'd recommend for a first-time person walking into your establishment?
I gravitate towards our Wee Heavy a lot. Right now, I know we don't have much of it. It was a beer that was made through like a homebrew competition, right?
Yeah.
Before my time that was here, it was a beer that I didn't even brew. But Scottish ales are by far like my favorite style. And the one that they made through the homebrew competition is an excellent beer. Another beer we have that's one of my go-tos definitely is No Shame in Ryeing. It's like a rye pale ale that we do, or that we did. Just not a typical style that you usually see in cans or anything like that, or commercially available. So, yeah, just the flavors from it. just, I can't think of a rye IPA that I can get off, or pale ale I can go to Benny's and get right now.
Mhm.
Yeah, I like our red. One of the ones we had originally brewed, it was maybe like the third or fourth beer actually. We had entered that in a beer contest last summer and won a gold medal. And that's kind of, if I go to breweries, I usually do like porters or reds or English ale. Just the style I particularly like more than anything else. And our porter is, I think, one of the better porters I've had anywhere, and that red is very good too. So I've seen when I come in, I'm not as much onto the IPAs. I don't like them as much, so I stick more to those two. When we're coming in, we're going to have a lot of it.
And then this is always one of the tougher questions because it's always like picking between your children. What do you think's that one hidden gem that's on your menu that people should try and that just maybe unexpectedly will blow people away?
I could have studied more for this question. I think, down here in Wilmington, I grew up in the burbs, like Western burbs, like Downers Grove, Lyle area. The demographic of beer drinkers down here is a lot different, and people are coming to fruition of new styles, trying new things. I think one hidden gem has been probably our sour mixed with like Woodruff syrup. Whether it be Woodruff syrup or raspberry syrup that we serve it with, but that seems,
Everybody loves it. I know that.
yeah, everybody loves it.
I don't like
a very
sours,
basic beer,
and I'll still drink it.
and the syrup really just like makes it pop, and people get super excited about it, and it's a first for a lot of people. It's not common for breweries to serve syrup with Berliner Weisses, and typically they're all fruited heavily with,
Our New England IPA too is another one. It's called Pigman. David had come up with that name. We had a local guy who gets a lot of our grain, our spent grain, and he feeds it to pigs. So David called it Pigman. And it's another one. Is people come in, they look at names, and sometimes they go, Pigman. I don't know if I want to be called Pigman, but it's one of those, again, it's not my favorite style, but we have an awful lot of people. That's one of them. I have to say, weekly, it's like every time Tina checks the sheets on which beers are selling the most, it's always at the top of it. Where the locals that come in and drink a lot, that's kind of their go-to. A lot of them is that they just love it. I know we're getting kind of low on it, and we've already had a few of them crying at us. Don't let that run out. Keep going on that again.
I would say it's always a good problem to have with those customers that want more and more and more.
Yeah.
An interesting question, and this can be whether you've been in your commercial brewing experience or home brewing. What do you think's the most unique beer that you've ever tried brewing, even if it ended up being tossed away 3 seconds later? Which I'm equally guilty of trying things on my own.
I usually can power through even if the beer's bad, especially if I make it.
That sounds like a challenge that I can brew you sometime.
But
it's hard to pour your own money down the drain.
That's true, because I even do that, and I'm buying my little kits and just adding stuff to it and trying to make it unique. And that's what, $30 or $40. One of the unique things that's over at the at Old School Brewing is your gift a beer board. Tell us a little bit about that, and kind of how it works, and whether you're buying the beer or taking the beer.
That was another one of those ideas we'd gotten, I think, when we were in Michigan. There's so many great breweries up in Michigan that we'll take usually a weekend every year and just head up New Buffalo and just work our way all the way up to Grand Rapids or wherever. And there's quite a few breweries up there that were doing it. And just when we were talking to one of the bartenders one day, it was like, what the heck is that board over there? You guys got all these names and stuff on. And they started explaining how they were doing it. And we thought, man, that's just an awesome idea. So it was another one of those things that we wrote down and thought, what if we ever put a brewery in that's somewhere along the line, let's bring that in. And we didn't do it right away, but after we got open and rolling, we put it up. And it's worked out great because people love it. They come in and like right now, especially with the nurses and everybody who are working so hard out there, that and our veterans too. A lot of veteran names up there, so people can come in and say next beer for Vietnam vet is on me, and they'll buy either a 10-ounce or a 16-ounce beer typically, and then they put their name on there. And then they just gift it to the next person that comes in and say, hey, I served in Vietnam. And it just keeps passing it on. Right now, we've got a lot of them on there for nurses, things like that as well. So it's really been nice. We love it. And the more and more that we've gotten our bartenders used to making sure they tell the customers when they come in, hey, make sure that they don't have a beer sitting over there. Because sometimes, just people will come in and go, hey, next time so-and-so comes in, I want to buy them a beer, and they'll write their name up on that gift board. And you got to remind people to look for their names up there because you just never know. Like Tina had a kid that went to high school with my sons, and he's been in Afghanistan. He just got home, and he came in and he ordered some to-go stuff. And Tina goes, you know what? There's all kinds of stuff on our board for vets. And, he goes, well, I'm a vet. And then there was another one on there for healthcare workers. And he's also in the service. That's what he does. He's, I don't know if he works with the nurses or doctors or he ended up getting 2 free beers out of the deal, which was awesome because he just got home. And this was one of the first places he stopped in. And he got a couple of free beers out of the deal. And it was nice to be able to pass that on to somebody.
It's a great idea. And, also a good way to do some good when, next time you come in, buy a beer for somebody you don't know and you may never see, but, you can just put that category of, who you want it to go to. And, these guys will definitely make sure they're taken care of. Another fun aspect, and especially for people close to the Wilmington, they can be a part of the Mug Club. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, the Mug Club was, again, it's another idea. I think we originally seen that. We were in New Hampshire one year in a little town called North Conway, and we went to a brewery, and they had these giant mugs hanging all the way around the entire bar, and we started, again, asking the bartender, what the heck's going on with that? And he explained how they did it, and you see it every once in a while in different parts of the country. You just never know how they do theirs. So we were always asking, how do you work yours? How do you guys run your mug clubs? And we just kind of picked and found little things that we really like from this brewery or from this brewery and made our own out of it. But for us, we bought 50 mugs to start with, and they sold out pretty quickly. And we bought another 50, and we're working on those right now. And a lot of the local guys or ladies that come in on a regular basis, it works out great for them. They throw down a little bit of money to start with, and we have a nice mug that we put their number on. We hang it from the ceiling, so when they come in, they just say, I need number 4 mug, and they yank it down off the ceiling and pop it on the bar. And then we have a special coaster that's I made for them, so they have an old coaster that they put their beer on, and then they also get a lot of extra stuff too, like their glass is 20 ounces where everybody else drinks out of a 16, so they always get free 4 ounces of beer. They got a free T-shirt, they got stickers, and then we have special days of the week that are Mug Club days that we'll have a special, so the Mug Clubbers can come in and get more money off on whatever we're selling. And since we've been closed too, we've just been coming up with ideas to help show the Mug Club guys and gals that we're thinking of them. So the girls come up with an idea. They have a little cage with all the balls that they use for bingo. So they've been pulling a number out every week, and whoever's mug has that number comes in, and we get some free stuff for them.
Yeah, and that's definitely a reason to follow Route 66 Old School Brewing on Facebook. I've seen those kind of live videos going off every so often. It's always good to watch Facebook. You may end up with a free beer.
I'll throw out there real quick is that I think one of the other things that makes us a little bit special that I just think is one of our best aspects. We've got the best bartenders. We didn't just throw an ad out there looking for anybody. We had people coming to us when they first heard we were going to open. And a lot of the people are people who already are out there working in the world and responsible and really fun people. And once they heard what we were doing, that we wanted to have just a cool little bar hangout kind of theme. And again, kind of the old school bar, come in and sit down, and most of the people know one another or whatever the case is. And we don't have, even when we're open on our normal hours, we're not open real late at night. Not like most breweries, we don't want the rowdy crowd coming in late at night. So we ended up with bartenders that we really, really are happy with. And it's one of the things we hear most on Facebook. And our bartenders are always sending out messages. I miss my customers. I miss you guys. They'll come in, and because they don't get to see them much anymore, and they're all crying, we want to see such and such again. And so we've been very, very pleased with our bartenders. We love them.
And it's just a great environment to go have a drink in. It's almost like a second home.
That's what we wanted it to be. We wanted to very much feel that way. And when you're in a small town, Wilmington only has 5,600 people in it. So it's not like going to a bar in Tinley. You got 100,000 people around you, and you're in a town of 5,600 people. You see a lot of the same people a lot. They're the same people come in all the time. So we wanted it to feel that way.
It's kind of in a interesting time in the world, but like breweries like yourself, we can still come and get beer even though we have to immediately take it away. Tell us a little bit about how we can come get a beer at Old School Brewing right now.
Go ahead, Dustin.
Well, I'm not sure of our hours.
We've changed them a little bit because when we first started, we just didn't know what to do. And right now, during the week, it's Monday through Friday. They come in from 4 to 6 for a couple of hours and fill growlers or crawlers. We have 16-ounce cans right now, too. And actually, we're out of crawlers. We're like everybody else. And everybody's fighting, trying to find cans. And because everybody just keeps running out. Nobody, of course, knew this was coming. And then everybody thought, it only lasts a couple of weeks. And now we're looking at maybe lasting for a couple of months. So everybody is fighting for cans and crawlers and you name it. Everybody's running out.
That supply chain is just definitely disrupted. But
it's an issue that everybody's trying to take care of. On the weekends, we stay open longer. We come in at noon, and then I think we've been closing at 6 o'clock. So again, it's enough hours that it gives everybody a chance if they have something going on. And then we've been trying to get a release every couple, 2 or 3 weeks. This weekend we have a release. The following weekend, I think the next 3 weeks we should have new releases.
Oh, nice.
And then we'll try to start brewing again. It's been hard because nobody knows what's going on and how long you're going to be gone. And so we've still been brewing and still doing things and just trying not to pump stuff out as fast as we would normally try to, like the one lager you've had in there. How long has it been?
Yeah, there's a Pilsner that we're going to be hopefully releasing this weekend, as long as it's nice and clear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but yeah, that's been in the tank probably going on 7 weeks now, so kind of fit with what's going on right now. I think it's a good time to do lagers. You're not pumping out beer.
Yeah, because you're just not selling enough like normal, or you can just brew on that normal schedule where you just you got it and you roll and you just keep going with it, and then you're more worried about running out. We're not a big brewery. We opened, we wanted to do smaller batches, so normally speaking, we're not pumping out 20 or 30 or 40 barrels at a crack. We don't do that. We're smaller. We try to spin beers out quicker. We typically can have about between 12 and 14 of our own beers on tap at any one time, so we kind of spin through them a little quicker. So it's been a challenge to try to figure out what's going on. And then the governor comes on again yesterday, and he still won't tell anybody for sure. Yeah, well, we're going to push you off for another 2 weeks or a month. He keeps hinting, well, for sure 2 more weeks, but maybe a month, maybe June, So for people like us who have to, throw a schedule out there, all the breweries are all in the same boat going, what are we going to do?
Yeah, because otherwise you end up like the oil industry when you end up with too much beer and no place to put it, and it's not going away.
The
And
bars opening up, so the guys who were selling all
Shelf
your
life on
bars
the
are
beer.
done.
mhm.
So it's an issue. Then you start running out of barrels because you got so much you're brewing and you're not spinning through it. So,
Mhm.
but everybody's in the same boat. You
Yeah,
muddle through it and you figure it out.
it there's even no way to describe it. It's just definitely unprecedented in different times. But kind of we'll conclude with if there's any message you'd like to pass along to the people viewing at home. Whether, I mean, we have our audience goes to Chicago, we even have some out-of-state folks, things of that nature, but what's that message you'd like to pass across, and kind of that, you know, also end it with too, why they should come to Old School Brewing?
I know for me, it's especially with somebody who's involved with 3 small businesses. You know, he has our furniture store is closed, so all those employees are out of work. We're lucky enough that we did get some of the government loans, so all 3 of our businesses, we put everybody back to work, so they're all on payroll, whether they can come in or not. Most of them are not because we don't have anything for them to do. But it's important for some of the service industries, like the little restaurants and the little shops and the little breweries and places that are still open somewhat. You know, please go to them, and whether you live in Lisle or wherever you live, go to those little places that you used to go to all the time. You know, if they're still open, they need your business bad. It is really an unbelievable struggle right now that, you know, like me and Tina, we go home at night and we just look at one another and go, you know, is there any money? You know, can we pay that bill? And even though the government has helped out with what they did, it's still not taking care of the taxes and the insurances and all the other things. So you're able to pay your employees, but a lot of those other bills, you can't pay. You know, you don't have enough money that is coming through the door to pay off a lot of the other things. So everybody that's out there, try to go and go to all those little shops that you typically would see, and spend some money. You know, if you got a little bit of extra, go in, because I can tell you they do need it. And when this is all said and done, there could be just a gigantic amount of businesses that won't be able to open back up. They won't have the funds. They'll be so far in debt that they're just going to say, you know, why should we open? We can't do it. We don't have any money. And even over the next year or two, those government loans have to be paid off, a lot of them. And if there's not enough money coming back to the door, I think our whole country is going to be hurting over the next year or two, as places then find out that, you know, we aren't having enough people come through the door to pay all those bills. So once the governor does release everybody to get out and move around a little bit more, I hope everybody does it. And in the meantime, get all those little guys out there and try to help them out the best you can.
Yeah, when you go out, and whether you get a burger over at Nellie's or a beer here at Old School Brewing, it's a lot more than that, which I don't know if a lot of people understand. It's paychecks, livelihoods, you know, paying expenses. It's I like to say it may be a burger and a beer, but it's a lot more than a burger and a beer.
Yeah, it really is to everybody that's struggling. It's a whole livelihood, and many people have put all their life savings and worked for years and years and years in these small businesses. And you know, it's a very, very sad thing if they have to close. So get out there, people.
All right. Thank you guys so much, and give Tina thanks as well. I know she's somewhere around the brewery, but you know, we want to say thank you guys.
She's in right now.
Here she comes.
We got to get you on screen. You haven't officially been on the record. I don't. Everybody say hi to Tina.
Hey.
These may all come delayed because we're taping this one day ahead of when we're going to air it. But we just want to say thank you guys so much for being out there. And we want to encourage everybody: a burger, a beer, and when it's time, a couch.
Yeah.
So, Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, we're doing our best.
And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to stop the recording. I'll keep you guys on for a few extra seconds, but everybody say thank you and truly thank you guys. And we're going to cut our transmission now.